To be in alignment, the guide says, to be an energetic accord with this other level of consciousness or vibration, as they call it. And it's available.
We live in the frequency of light. Tesla said, if you want to understand the universe, you have to understand energy, vibration, and frequency.
The subconscious mind cannot stay down at the low frequency of fear where it used to be able to be hidden, because that vibration doesn't exist anymore really on the planet.
We have our own soul frequency and vibration. We have Michael, soul frequency and vibration, and it depends on your soul, heart, mind, and body, how open your heart is.
The big debate in physics whether the electron was a particle or a field. Then they discovered that it was both. We also have a field state and a particle state.
Everything's an energy, okay? Outside of us, before I learned all this stuff, I'd get a lousy thought, which would create a lousy feeling. And what do human beings want most? To feel good. So then I'd do something to get rid of this bad feeling, which that would lead to alcohol or drugs or gambling or promiscuity, all stuff that's going to create a lousy destiny. But now when I live here and I create my intentions from here, from a pure, great desire to serve and to love and to make everything better, then these things happen so much quickly, but then I use this tool to create the plan and everything. Woo! You know, I can download the Bible in 30 seconds. All that data, where does it come from? Okay. What I love about this technology is people struggle with spirituality. They struggle with the unseen world. Okay. Then if there is no unseen world, then how does that data get into here? It comes through that vibration, that frequency. And just like we live in the frequency of light, in the five senses, okay? So let's call that love songs after dark on our radio, okay? But when we turn it over here to sports talk radio, we're in a whole nother dimension. And we may or may not ever have been there yet, or we might be heading there. So, but we have to deal with this dimension of the five senses. But when we understand that we're in this world, but not of this world, then we can tap into that magical extra spiritual power that created all of this physical reality. You know, according to the Bible, the story goes that God spoke this into existence. He spoke and said, let there be light. Let there be the. So that's the power of sound. And the more I study the sound, for example, Michael, right now you think, and so do your viewers, that I'm speaking words. But in reality, my vocal cords are moving air molecules, which is creating a certain vibration and energy of frequency. Now goes through my iPad, all the way to Aspen into your headset, but through your eardrums, and then in your mind, it's digitalized and turned into language. Everything is happening in our mind, okay? And most things are a friggin' illusion, and almost everything we're taught from birth until we wake up is backwards. But you have to understand how it really works and how it can work for you. And it's very, very simple, but you have to get clear on what it is you truly desire. So there's a couple steps, right? So you got to get in here, get clear what you truly desire. You know, and everybody, I need more money. Okay, well, let's just deal with that one. Okay, so then you write an intention around money. Okay, and a powerful intention has already exists. That money's already flowing to you. You're already accumulating it, right? And then, you know, I just say, you know, download that app, do the best you can, and if you need help, you know, we do have a Creation Frequency Facebook page. You just shoot me a message on there, and I'd be happy to, you know, edit your intention or make sure it's written properly. And the important thing about these intentions, let me just say, is that I'm 61 years old. So let's say I write an intention how I love that I'm playing quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. Okay. That's going to have a tough time getting through my conscious mind and into my subconscious mind, right? Okay. So we have to be careful of that. That's the other thing. You know, a lot of attraction teach everything is possible. Well, yes, it is, but not really, because we've been so heavily programmed that we got to erase all these years of programming of what's not possible before we can experience what's possible. So I say, you know, go make sure it's something that, you know, is going to get through that conscious mind. It has there's a way that you can see it happening in the future, right? And then write it from there. But the most important thing for anybody on anything, and where most people fail, is you've got to take some sort of action. I don't care what it is. Buying the book, getting the app, Google. You can Google all this information for free. So don't let money be a hindrance. Okay, everything is on Google or on YouTube. And all this information already exists. I didn't create it. It was already here. I'm just sharing it with you from my story, okay? But it's already there. So just really take action. And most importantly, realize that you are far greater than you can ever imagine. And you have so much more power than you could ever imagine. And I want you to access that. I want you to take your power back and create the life, not only for you, but for my kids, our grandkids, and if reincarnation is a reality, there's a place for us to come back. Here's an important thing that people really got to get about them. We don't understand our mind, and no one really teaches us how it works, right? They just teach us how to add and subtract and count their money. Okay, so the truth is we have a left brain, right brain, and we need to bring congruency between these two forces, okay? Because they do two completely different things. The other thing is we have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. And so I believe that the subconscious mind is attached to the infinite mind. So for the world we live in today, let's imagine the cloud is the infinite mind, right? So, I always say, we don't need God anymore. We have Google. All you have to do is ask Google, right? But the truth is the infinite mind of God, the creator of all, resides here. And our subconscious mind is attached to that, as it's attached to every other subconscious mind that's walking around the 7 billion people. But here's the fascinating thing. Our subconscious mind is taking in right now, each and every one of us, 1 million bits of information every second. Then that supercomputer subconscious mind sorts through those million bits of information every second and then delivers to our conscious mind 40 bits of information, because that's all the conscious mind can handle. Okay? So how does the subconscious supercomputer choose which 40 bits of information? Based on what it thinks we want, based on our actions, based on our self-talk, based on our talk to other people. So if I walk around every day and say, I'm a loser, nothing ever works, I always fail, that subconscious computer is going to go find 40 bits of information every second to deliver to me to make that my truth, my reality, because it doesn't judge, okay? Judgment is the big problem in this dualistic world that we live in. But when we understand, now I reprogram through. So what the mystery man taught me is I write these powerful intentions as if they already exist, because there's no difference between imagination and reality. And what I imagine will become my physical reality. I write these powerful intentions, and then I listen every morning and every night, and I'm telling the subconscious mind what 40 bits of information all you'll be looking for to deliver to my conscious mind. So then all of a sudden, Michael, guess what? And I know you know this, okay? I've read your story. All of a sudden, the right person shows up. The right relationship shows up. The right healer shows up. The right funding shows up. And it's, I love the title of the book, Think and Grow Rich. There's a little bit more to it than that, but that's the truth. When I focus on what I want, it appears. And let me add, so I want to take you back to 1982, okay?
Okay, and please do. The cassette.
And I'll tell you what. So here I am, okay? So the mystery man, day one, he says, Mike, you come here 1 hour a week for 7 weeks, and you'll get everything you desire in your life, okay? And I had nothing to lose. Now, the bad part was he wanted $50 an hour, and I didn't have 50 cents. So that was my biggest issue, right? But I've always, somewhere along the line, someone said, invest in yourself. And so I didn't go to college. I didn't go to school. I've never invested in myself. Okay, well, I'm going to invest in myself today. So here's $50. And so each week, we write these powerful intentions, because he breaks life to create balance in the 6 areas. You have the physical, the relationship, the job, the career, the money, whatever. So I have 6 intentions. So week 7, he hands me a relaxation script and my 6 intentions. And then he brings out a boom box. So I know I'm dating myself. And he has a cassette tape, and he puts it in there, and he starts playing theta brainwave music. Then he hands me a cassette tape recorder and a microphone, and he has me record the relaxation script and my 6 intentions onto another cassette tape. So I leave 7 weeks later, $350 poor, with a cassette tape. And then he says, listen every morning, every night. And I start listening every morning, every night, and I start reprogramming my subconscious mind. And I, where do thoughts come from? Does anybody ever ask, where do these thoughts come from? We have good thoughts, we have bad thoughts. We have thoughts that really serve us and help us. We have thoughts that really don't and destroy us, right? So, but all of a sudden, my thoughts got a lot better. So wherever they come from, I came up with this thought one of my intentions was to own my own business. And all of a sudden, and I had no money, I had bad credit, I was 40 grand negative, I had no way I could open my own business, right? And a thought comes, put an ad in the paper and look for investors. And I ended up opening a restaurant within 3 months. And I've owned my own business ever since. Thank God I got out of the restaurant business, but it's too difficult. But this is just one example of many of how this thing works. My other intention, I've been divorced from my wife for 2 years. I had a 2-year-old daughter. She hates me, frankly. She's dating a doctor, about ready to get engaged. And I'm listing every day, my first intention, how Lisa and I are so happily married, and how our daughter Michelle thrives in this marriage, right? And then, but my reality was, but I could see this in my mind's eye. I knew this was possible, but the reality was, I go pick her up, take my daughter, give her the child support so she can go out on a date with the doctor, right? That was the reality. But over here in the imagination, we had this beautiful life. We restored our marriage, and the truth is, after 2 years of listening to this, she calls me up one day before Christmas and asked me if I'd escort her to a party. And we ended up getting remarried 6 months later and having 3 more beautiful children. So what would you want to do with your life? And then I want you to get into this feeling that I know you had before, where you can't sleep. You're so excited for what's going to happen tomorrow. And you can barely fall asleep. When you do and you wake up, you jump out of bed to go do it. These are the ingredients we have to get into our goals or our intentions, however you want to call it. But this is how we need to motivate ourselves. Here's what happens to us. We're born this beautiful, perfect baby, okay? And everything is possible. You know why? Because we actually do live in a field of infinite possibilities. So we know this is a child because we just came from it, okay? But so we have these big dreams, and I'm going to be a policeman. I'm going to be a major league baseball player. I'm going to be a doctor. Whatever, right? Everything's possible. And then we start failing, and then things don't go our way, and then we see injustice, and we're lied to, and people betray us, and then we start shrinking, right? Instead of this unbelievable everything's possible attitude, we start shrinking, and then pretty soon we can't take it anymore. We can't take the pain of the failure, and we just literally die with our music stillness. We may still be walking around on this place called Earth, but we've given up. We've died. And so the creation frequency is all about don't give up. There's hope. Just understand how the game is played and tap into the science of it and create your own beautiful life for yourself and your family. And Tesla said, if you want to understand the universe, you have to understand energy, vibration, and frequency. And then when you understand that an atom, that everything's made from atoms, okay, and atoms are 99% space, then the illusion of this physical reality is the solidity, okay? This feels solid, it appears solid, but it's not.
Yeah, basically, remember that you are an energy field. Mm-hmm. You know, the big debate in physics 100 years ago was whether the electron was a particle or a field or a wave. And it had to be one of the two. And then they discovered that it was both. It had a particle state and it had a field state. And when you measured it, it became a particle. And then it would return to being a field. Well, we also have a field state and a particle state. And today we are in our particle state. We're in a body, but we still have a field. Mm-hmm. And when you die, you're going to be returning to your field state. Now, in a particle state, you cannot have both of us occupy the same chair, or one of us is going to be pretty upset. But in a field state, fields can occupy the same space because they don't occupy any space. So that today we know who we are because we are someone somewhere in this body. And for the shaman, the question became, will you know who you are when you are someone who is everywhere? Because the field is everywhere. So the training of the shaman had to do with taking your awareness with you beyond death, to understand that you were primarily a field that was everywhere, that had a body. You're not a body that has a field. You're a field that has a body. And this body will pass on and you will return to your field and you want to take your consciousness with you. So this exercise that you mentioned is a very powerful exercise because what connects the field to the physical body are the chakras. They're the rivet points. And if you can unwind those rivet points, you can actually lift the person's field and they learn the spirit flight, the out-of-body experience. Understand that creation happened at 4 different levels. Okay. That the Great Spirit created the universe at 4 levels. And each level is one step closer to the pure light. Mm-hmm. And each level down is one step further and closer to pure matter. So it's the same difference between the fender of your automobile and a piece of software. A piece of software is 99% information and 1% matter. Offenders, 99% matter and 1% information or light. So the closer you get to the physical, the more that you need to bring information in at a physical level through what you eat. You got to eat organic. You got to eat clean. You got to detoxify the body, get rid of the poisons. You've got to support your mitochondrial function. You've got to support your brain. The brain needs certain nutrients that we used to get from wild foods, including wild fish, and that today we can't get because everything is farm raised. So we're not getting necessary the omega-3 fatty acids that the brain needs to upgrade. And if you cannot upgrade the brain, you're not going to be able to have the neural networks to allow you to experience an upgraded field, to experience spirit. So at the fundamental physical level, eat clean. The second level was the level of the mind. We know the mind informs the body. The level of the mind, you've got to get rid of most of the beliefs that you inherited that are not true, that are lies, like the fact that we believe we were kicked out of the garden. It's a lie. We weren't. Because this is the best marketing scheme that I've heard of, which is that if you do what I tell you, then in your next lifetime, you're going to get to be in heaven. But in this life, you got to build a cathedral for me or a pyramid. Got it? So, wow, what a great way to get free labor.
Good point.
So that's at the physical level. The level of mind, get rid of the beliefs that are not yours. And just about every belief that you have is truly not yours. So you get to the belief structures that are creative and positive by reflecting on your experience. What's been my experience in the world? And particularly in your spiritual quest, what is true? Most everything that we have learned is the truth of others and not our truth, not our truth. So when you discover your truth, which is in your heart, then you don't have to live by the truths of others, which are the truths of history, which are generally pretty violent and pretty bizarre in so many ways. So this is at the level of mind. You got to clean the body. You got to clean the mind. At the level of the soul, we're much closer to the light. And what you do there is you need to come up with a sacred journey. What's your life plan? Which is not a business plan. Your life planner is, what did you come here to do? So that Mark Twain used to say that the two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you discovered why. And this is what this realm of creation is about. Our journey here is to discover why we were born and then to put that into practice. And then everything just bursts right open for you. So that's the third level. And then at the fourth is at the level of pure energy. Energy is sustenance, is food. Food is energy, but energy at the very highest level is wisdom. So you want to surround yourself by wisdom, by beauty and by wisdom. This is what's going to feed you at the deepest core of your being. So it's at these four levels that we upgrade the field. At the level of food, you cannot have a shamanic experience if you have a bunch of mercury in your mouth and your brain is full of mercury and your thyroid isn't working. So you've got to eat well, you've got to eat clean, you've got to exercise, you've got to forgive. And that begins to upgrade your field. And then energetically, what you do is you go to sacred places, to power places. And you learn to expand your field and fill it with the really sublime energies of Machu Picchu or of Lhasa or the great monasteries in Tibet. My wife and I just came back from a month in Nepal, in some ancient shamanic Buddhist monasteries where the energy of all the prayers that have been left there remains. Wow. But what we know is that we can upgrade the field. And the beauty of it is that when you buy a computer, and many of our listeners, I just bought a new Apple computer, and it gave me the option of auto update. to auto update my software, and I clicked on it. And it was so easy. Well, when you get to the higher levels, when your diet is clean and when you've gotten rid of the beliefs that you don't belong, that you're not a child of the earth, then you can get the auto update option. And your field is automatically updated by the changes that are happening in nature, by the eclipses, by the seasons, you get this information directly from nature. The hand of God, the hand of spirit is everywhere, and it acts through sunlight. And sunlight is actually the way, and the sunlight right now, the solar storms that we're experiencing from the sun contain the codes for a new human that's appearing on the earth. But in order to download those codes, you've got to run the antiviral software first. You got to get rid of the toxins in the body. You've got to upgrade the physical vessel so that you can become a container for that light. And even, we don't have to wait for 68 years for the next download. The next big eclipse is coming in 2064. We can do it every night that we go outside and look at the stars. We can do it in the morning when we catch the first rays of the sun. And we can even do it when we light a candle, because the nature of that energy of creation is light. And wherever there's light, that energy is present. And this is what differentiates the shamanic teachings from the religious teachings. Religion tells you, I am present when you pray to me. Your God comes when you summon him or her. The shaman says every time you light a fire, you are kindling, you're calling the very forces that were present when the Big Bang happened. Well, basically, again, at the level of the body, your body knows how to do it really well. You go out and you're getting vitamin D. Take your shirt off. Go and get some vitamin D. Expose your face to the sun. And vitamin D is the key operating mechanism here at a physical level. Most everyone in America and in the world is vitamin D3 deficient. And this is what the body manufactures when it's exposed to light. When you increase your uptake of vitamin D3, you can go outside and you can transform that light into beautiful wisdom and information. So that step number one is let your body do what it does naturally. Mm-hmm. And step number two, if you want to get these downloads, you've got to go into meditation. You've got to still the mind. You cannot be going through your to-do list or answering emails in your head while you're out there meditating with the rising sun. You've got to witness it. Imagine if you've been watching that eclipse from your kayak and you'd been on the cell phone or texting a friend. Come on, be present, show up, quiet the mind, and let the magic happen. The body knows how to do it.
Well, by avail, I mean align myself. And that means that I become willing to allow myself to be who I truly am and not who I think I am. And the guides say the small self thinks and the divine self or the true self knows. And I know this because I do it. I know what that's like. So, when I say avail, I think I mean align. And to be in alignment, the guides say, is to be an energetic accord or energetic agreement with this other level of consciousness or vibration, as they call it. And it's available. The station that we're playing is our consciousness. And we do have choice about that. We have choice about what the station is that we're broadcasting. Mm-hmm. And, some of what I do when I go back and forth or up and down is I'm bouncing between these two levels of awareness. And the old level of awareness, and the challenge, I think, and the guides have talked about this, is they say, every time you leave the house, everything you're seeing was named by somebody who came before you. And you're investing in all of this history when you walk out that's sort of giving you a sense of who you should be in relationship to it. So we're sort of living in this museum where things have been decided, what's good, what's bad, what's beautiful, what's ugly, all of this stuff in collective agreement. And one of the big challenges, I think, in this work, and this is sort of where it goes, sort of, so the guys always say this isn't self-help work. They say self-help is for the small self. The small self doesn't fix the small self. But the idea of moving beyond collective agreements and what things should be, because it's what we want them to be, or what we were told they should or would be, that then becomes the challenge, because I think it's very hard to do this work when we continue to invest in the group think that is also in lower vibration. They're shaking their head. They're saying you've created it. That's why you're in agreement too. This is not an inherited landscape. They're saying this is not an inherited landscape. In some ways it is. In some ways it is. Somebody else built the building. Somebody else built the building that you sit in, but you confirm the building. But you confirm the building by your witness of it, by your witness of it, and the consciousness you bring to it. And the consciousness you bring to it affirms the structure of the building, affirms the structure of the buildings. You are complicit. So you are complicit to all of your creations, and everything you see, and everything you see. They're saying the post office exists in the higher way, You are not pretending there is no way to the post office. You are not pretending there is no way to the post office, but you are not doing. But what you are not doing is investing in the decisions made by others, is investing in the decisions made by others to tell you who you are, to tell you who you are. If you walk down the street, and you believe you're a poor person, and you believe you're a poor person, you hold that frame before you, and you hold that frame before you, everything you see will confirm that poverty, will confirm that poverty. So when they talk about truth, they talk about truth as a vibration that is present, that can be operated in and through. And that in the vibration of truth, they say a lie cannot be held. So when you begin working at this level, those agreements that you made in fear, either on a personal level or in the collective level, have to come up for release, because they can't exist in the higher plane. Now, we've been taught to believe all this crap, and so we continue to invest in it. But when you begin working in this way, my understanding is you can't align to it anymore, which means your relationship to it is going to have to be seen and moved. The guides that I work with work through vibrational attunements and language. They say the language is encoded. And if you read the reviews on Amazon, you see people saying, I'm reading the book and my body is vibrating. I'm reading the book, I'm seeing auras. I mean, this phenomenon has been attached, for instance, the very beginning. The claim in the first book was the attunement to the word, which is, I'm word through my body, and then it goes on. The third book, the attunement, was I know who I am, I know what I am, I know how I serve. In the book of mastery, the attunement was I am here, I am here, I am here. And the guides say that is the divine self claiming its purview. So the divine as you announcing itself in purview. If you go from I know who I am, I know what I am, I know how I serve as an attunement, I am here, I am here, I am here, is the expression of that in the life that you live. And they say, the purview of the divine self is everything you see. Nothing is excluded. Nothing. Anything you see on the news, because you're in witness to it, and because you can align at this level, everything you see, you're already in energetic accord to. We all are, like it or not. But the divine self, let me get this from them, the divine sees the divine. The divine sees the divine. The claim I am here. The claim I am here claims purview and alignment and alignments with the divine self. So the divine self supports the alignment to everything he or she witnesses, to everything he or she witnesses. Nothing can be excluded. Nothing can be excluded from this equation. They use the term Christ, and they define it perhaps differently than most of us have been led to understand it. And they say that the Christ is the aspect of the Creator that can be realized in material form as who and what we are. That's the truth of our being. And they said in that first book that the Christ in humanity, our man, I think they said in that book, is an event that happens. And I always thought this was sort of theoretical. Like, I get it, we're all holy, I get it. Yeah, that means, we're nice to each other, and, namaste this, namaste that, whatever. I understood the ease in principle of the teaching. What I didn't get at the time is they're really talking manifestation. They're really talking about the being of this, and they're actually talking about a whole shift in the species. They say that we're really at a juncture as a species. Now, that was my way of saying it. I know only because they've mentioned the title of the next book, which is due at the end of November. And, I'm going to have to start sitting and doing the sessions for it over the next month or two, I suppose. They've called it the Book of Freedom, if they still say with that. And the attunements that they're working with now in groups is to freedom. And it's an astonishing attunement, because basically when you attune to freedom, and the claim there is, I am free, I am free, I am free, you are releasing your attachment to every agreement that was ever made in fear. Every agreement, every doctrine, every teaching, every idea that was fear-based or is limiting or is prescriptive in a way that would keep us from our realization of who we truly are. And again, these things come through in ways that are very palpable to people and quite physical. Well, what I hear is choice, choice, choice. You have claimed this for yourselves. You have claimed this for yourselves. You have claimed the density of your You have claimed the density of your experience. It's your making. It's your making. You created every mess you see before you. You created every mess you see before you, and you've aligned to it, and you've aligned to it. What makes you think it is not yours to unmake? What makes you think it is not yours to unmake? You are not a victim to this. You are not a victim to this. Every war that was ever made, every war that was ever made, you invested in conscious. You invested in consciousness. You were party to the war. You were party to the war throughout time, if you wish. Throughout time, if you wish. You still are. You still are. You get to move beyond it. You get to move beyond it. Now, why did you choose this? Now, why did you choose this? To learn through them. To learn through them. You have chosen to learn here. You have chosen to learn here. This is the stage. This is the stage. All of the dramas that unfold. All of the dramas that unfold are to learn through, but they are not who and what you are. But they are not who and what you are. They're the aspects of you. They are the aspects of you that have been claimed into form, in lower vibration, as you lift yourself. As you lift yourself, you lift your creations. You lift your creations, or you stop investing in them, period. I'm going to give you a bad example of this. I know, because I just thought about it.
Yeah.
I used to, I can be a real worrier, and I used to go like OCD, worry. And there were times when I would say to the guides, what do I do? What do I do? And they would sort of talk to me very reasonably, well, Paul, this is what you're thinking, and this is what's really going on. And that didn't do a damn thing. This is what helped. I would say, oh my God, what's happening? And the guides would start rolling their eyes. Now, the moment they started rolling their eyes at my worry, I went, oh, you mean like not, I couldn't even engage in the conversation to try to figure it out to fix it. But my investment in figuring it all out to fix it was my small self trying to work through all my stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think they're talking about something a little bit different happening now. So the divine self knows who he is. They're saying the divine self knows who he is and doesn't invest in problems, and doesn't invest in the problems or the dramas that the small self would create, that the small self would create.
And that acceleration has caused everything to vibrate faster. Our bodies, our emotions, our minds. The subconscious mind cannot stay down at the low frequency of fear where it used to be able to be hidden, because that vibration doesn't exist anymore really on the planet. So all that fear stuff that was able to be denied and suppressed is popping up to the surface. And we're seeing it flooding into our consciousness and reenacting in various ways. And we're seeing it in politics, and how people who are not evolving to match the frequency on the planet are retracting back into control and domination or avoidance, and leaving their bodies, and like opioid addiction, and then narcissism, and all this stuff. Well, these are all representations of the way we try to maintain security. And that, to me, that relates to that we're heading toward transparency because we're trying to clear all this clutter. Anybody who's on a spiritual path is really trying to get rid of that fear-based stuff that's keeping them contracted and slow and dense, whereas a lot of other people haven't realized what's going on yet, and they're still perpetuating it, you know. And so that relates a lot to the eclipse. Eventually the soul and the spiritual realm, which is the non-physical realm, is actually inside the physical realm. Your soul is in your personality, it's in your body, always has been. It's the inner part of your vending machine that's creating the outer product, right? You know, so
well put.
I mean, it's like your soul is creating your life so that you will learn the things you need to learn and evolve to the level that you're capable of evolving to. And so it's not out there like a balloon somewhere and you don't have a soul. You know, you are the soul right now in this present moment. So realizing that is a huge step. And then as soon as you realize that, you also realize that, hey, inside, you know, matter, inside my coffee cup and the table and whatever is light, is energy, consciousness, molecules full of light, you know. And so nothing is really inanimate. Everything is conscious and everything is made of energy. And then you start realizing that the spiritual realm is actually manifesting the physical world. So it's already inside of everything. All right, this is an integration that's always existed, but really only probably high priests in the past realized this. But now we are all realizing it. We're able to. And it is that integration that causes transparency. The reason is, I think, is that when you realize that you're the soul doesn't even know what fear is. You know, that is like something based on separation and opposition. That soul has no separation or opposition from anything else in the spiritual realm. It's all one. And so it doesn't compute. So then you become the soul here and now, and you go, and people start talking about fear and defending themselves and narcissism and, you know, avoiding things, and you go, well, that's so stupid. You know, like that doesn't even make sense anymore. You know, why would I want to do that? And you start letting go of old behaviors because they just don't really work.
You talk about in the book, in fact, this is one of your lines.
Yeah, it's like you're exhausted, you're like bored, really, with the old way of doing everything. You're like, oh gosh, that is such like a dinosaur reality. You know, that's not the way I want to do things anymore. It's possible to have things happen very quickly in the moment, have it work for the way I want it to work. And even if so-called negative things happen, that's still just data that's coming because it's helping you evolve. You know, if something so-called negative comes up, it's probably a place where you got stuck in your past or a past life or something, and you had a partially experienced experience. You got stuck in the fear and contracted, and then never like exhaled again. You know, you never understood what really what it was all about. And now when it comes up again, it's for the reason that you need to see it from the sort of soul's eye view or God's eye view, so that you understand the whole picture and go, oh, that silly thing, that's not even real. Or, oh, that was my mother's idea. That's not about me. We're changing out of that linear perception, right? Where we just think about past, present, future, beginning, middle, end, you know, cause and effect thinking, where everything has a gap between here's an idea and here's the next step and the next step and here's the end result, or here's my goal. It's out separate from me and I have to cross empty space to get to it. It takes time to do that. It's slow, right? Just by the way the inner geometry of that thing works, it's slow. Well, because of the acceleration, everything's going faster, but what's really happening is all coming into the present moment. So there is no linear process. You think it's now, you know, and what that makes us realize is that there's just one reality that's a big ball around us. So there's the spherical. When you meditate, often you will feel yourself sitting in a spherical aura or a field of energy. And it's very common that, you know, we talk about it, my sphere of influence, right? It's a common term. We think about spheres of this and that. So we actually are a spherical entities. When we come down close to the physical world, we're spherical. But now that sphere around you is your personal field. It's your present moment. It's your conscious mind. It's your reality at that moment. But what's cool is that the sphere expands and contracts depending on the frequency and the scope of what you're thinking about. So, like when you're dreaming at night, you move beyond the physical sphere, way out sometimes, into the Akashic records or, emotional realm or mental realm. And then you come back and you move in and out and fly, you go out, you fall, falling as you come back. And we do that all day long as well. So the sphere is very malleable, and it's really not an actual thing because it's an imaginary focus, or what would you call it? There's no outside world beyond the sphere. It's just
We're getting a focal point, a temporary focal point to bring some, what's the word?
It's to bring a reality into materialization.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like on the zoom lens on a camera, you stop it for a second, but it keeps on, has total, possibilities of focus. Anyway, so we're zooming in and out, and there's actually no outside world. Everything's in the present moment. But so there's no future. Now, this is a hard one to understand because we think of it as outside the ball, somewhere over there, but actually it's inside the ball as a potential. And there are many potential next realities, let's call it. And it's not future. It's as soon as you place your attention on that particular frequency and imagine it in great detail, and it's all a function of attention, it starts to drop down in frequency, and suddenly it just shows up out of your field. You don't attract it from some outside source. It's not the law of attraction. I call it the law of emergence. It's like the particles just reshape themselves into the next reality. And there you have it. And the more you know that you can do this, the faster it happens. So you can dissolve a reality by taking your attention out of something and manifest a reality by placing attention into it. You're placing attention on an item of whatever it is. Even if you say, I don't want it, you're still putting attention on the actual picture of that thing. And that's what, your body and your field takes that as a set of instructions and materializes that for you. Suspend your internal dialogue. Stop the self-talk. Get quiet, get centered in your center of your head, center of your heart, center of the base of your spine. Get inside your skin. Breathe. Drop your attention into your body where you can feel your heart beating, this miraculous thing that is your heart that just keeps you here. And it's an amazing thing that you just want to thank it every moment for. Thank you for beating, and then, pushing my blood around in my veins, and oh my gosh, and my brain is working, and it's so amazing. So to get down in the body and move into a kind of communion state, you're talking yourself into a unity consciousness by doing this kind of thing, by just getting coherence, yeah, by getting quiet and feeling into what's going on in the moment. So you feel into your body. That's your first thing that you can do, and realize the magnificence and magic of the way it works. You don't have to tell it what to do. It really will heal itself very quickly. Like you can heal a disease just the way a scab heals on your arm, because that's what it naturally wants to do. And then you're connected to the air. You're connected to the objects around you, and you can take your consciousness and move it out more and more until you feel this communion state. And then just stay quiet and be quiet for a while. Give it a rest and wait until the field itself starts to have a way to flow into that quiet space you've opened up and give you the next set of instructions. Or it'll be a new idea that's exciting or something you're really curious about. But it comes out of the quiet. I mentioned before that because the subconscious mind has really no place to hide anymore, that all the things that were in Pandora's box, which are all those little fears and little demonic thoughts that we have, they're coming to the surface, which means they're coming into our conscious mind, and in society, they're coming into current events, into the news, into the, collective consciousness. So it is that which is clearing clutter. It's like the clutter is the fear stuff, right? But you only have to do it one piece at a time in your own life. Something will come up and makes you get the heebie-jeebies or something, and then go, okay, why am I, getting all anxious about this? And go into it, feel into it. What's at the core? Or tell yourself the opposite statement. If you're saying, I can't be a dancer, say, well, what would it be like if I just jumped around and moved around and had fun moving? Let the energy flow. And you'll find that a lot of times the things that were stuck will suddenly start moving, and they won't be there anymore. Things can clear very quickly. So that's clearing clutter. And I think that the transparency is the end result after these things dissolve, that we're creating the opacity, and it's such an interesting state when that clutter starts to really disappear, because suddenly the soul expresses directly. You are living your destiny. The things you were built for just start to occur for you, and it comes through synchronicity. You don't have to do it all through your own willpower. A lot of other people will say, hey, would you like to come over here and do a seminar in Europe or in whatever, you couldn't make it happen all on your own if you had to do it all. But you feel the collective consciousness all working together so that it feeds everybody, and it's like magic, this perfect fit, and everybody goes through this. And what happens is often when you don't put a lot of attention on the bad thing that you think is so bad, and you take attention off of it, it kind of softens up and you get insight about it. And then it's like, kind of like this, it's not so much boredom, but a forgetfulness. Like you go, wait a minute, did that happen to me? Or was that somebody told me about that? Was that, or is this just a human thing? And really, the forgetfulness comes in because you've released your ownership of whatever you think the awful thing was. The acceleration on the planet's going so fast that old vibration and reactionary behavior, it's not going to be able to be, it's functional. It won't be functional. And it will just, be eclipsed, and it'll be swallowed up with new ways of doing things. So I'm not, and it doesn't excuse us from taking a stand for things that we feel like we need to speak out about. That's in the moment. That's our self-expression in the moment. But it's not about having to counteract fear with more fear-based behavior.
Woohoo!
We have our own soul frequency and vibration. We have Michael, soul frequency and vibration, and it depends on your soul, heart, mind, and body, how open your heart is, how deeply connected you are. But if you really follow your soul, whenever you're happy, and things are just flowing in your life and things like that, you're following your soul. You listened to what your heart was saying. Your heart was saying, go do this. And you followed your soul. It was like an intuitive, it was a feeling in your heart. That's actually following your soul. When you don't follow your soul, it's the opposite. Disasters, challenges, things don't go correctly. There's just blockage after blockage. It's because that's when your soul and your heart and your mind were not in alignment. First of all, there's, like the heart chakra, the energy space in the body in the middle of the chest. When it began for me, it was like, it's almost like it cracked an opening here energetically. It was like pulling. And it starts to open, and you actually start to feel love that starts to radiate from there, where you start to feel it from others. And then it just opens and expands further, that you could feel the light just go.
It's like a Care Bear.
Yeah, the light, exactly. Like the light just radiates out and they connect. So, and then from there, it actually opens 360 degrees. Think of the love and the light just radiating out from every pore of your body. And that's when the heart has opened more fully. And then it's easier in that state to be able to love more fully. In our spiritual practices, you want to pick a mantra, a sound that has a very high frequency and vibration that is connected. The highest mantras will connect to heaven, to the Tao, to Mother Earth. Mm-hmm. And their vibration, their frequency and vibration will uplift. They will vibrate our cells. Like right now, you may have felt something vibrating in the chest area. And that vibration begins to gently vibrate the cells. They're vibrating. And because we were chanting Da'ai, greatest love, the love just starts to melt some of those blockages away. So it's that vibration that is able to transform a negative situation. So we want a positive message like the greatest love, Da'ai, or another greatest flourishing or greatest enlightenment. That positive message will get almost like imprinted in our soul, heart, mind, and body, and it changes the negative messages that we carry within. So we want to have a very high level positive message information when we chant a mantra. So the mantra has a special frequency and vibration, and it creates like a field of energy. So like an energetic field, but it's more than just an energetic field. When you chant, for example, Da or greatest love, you're literally connecting with the source, and the source light is just coming to you. It's like a connection, a bridge, a golden bridge of light that you've made with heaven, with the Tao, with the mountains, with nature. And in that field, it's like a field of light. And in that field of light, you're being nourished with love, with forgiveness, with heaven's nectar, with light. And your whole body is like a sponge that's just absorbing all of that energy. Karma is divided into two. There's good karma and negative karma. So we want good karma. We want to be loving to each other, to family, to friends, offer good service. When we offer a lot of good service, we get a blessing from heaven in return that blesses our life, whether that be our health, relationships, finances, or more. But the opposite's true. We can create negative karma with what we think, what we do, what we say. So anytime we hurt or harm another person, another soul, with our thoughts even, we can create negative karma, and that negative karma is the soul blockage. So in chanting, in offering greatest love, you're removing the negative karma, because the love is melting the blockage away, because you want to do love and forgiveness go hand in hand. The book is also filled with forgiveness practice. So you offer the love, the forgiveness, the negative karma begins to go away. It melts away. And it's replaced with positive karma, which then blesses our life. That's where we want to shift. We want to shift the negative message to positive information. And so that's where these mantras become very, very important, with the love and the forgiveness.
This was one of the most special shows, because if you get it, if you get that it's all about your vibration, and if you raise your vibration to the max, if you get into a higher level of attunement, like Paul Selig's guys say, go to the upper room, you can't help but to attract into your life more of what you desire. On that note, we have a very special group coaching class where we're working this month with Joseph Murphy, helping you to rewire your subconscious mind, called the Manifestation Mastery Circle. If you want to raise your vibration to the highest level you can, get the automatic writing experience, where you go quiet. You go into that sacred space. You get your vibration up to the max. That's what's happened when you play in awe, and you're able to attract almost whatever you desire, if it's for your highest good and the highest good of all. But it all comes from the vibration of syncing up with the highest level. In awe, the automatic writing experience, you learn how to get in attunement. You learn how to get in the hypnagogic state, the state where you're half here, half on the other side of the veil. Hermeticism talks about as above, so below. So does the Old Testament, so do the Egyptians, and on it goes. Because when you learn how to get at that higher vibrational level, this is the law of vibration, when you learn how to get at that level, you're vibrating at the exact frequency that opens the door to the future that you desire. It's been talked about by Napoleon Hill, by Neville Goddard, by Florence Scovel-Shinn, by Wallace Wattles, and on it goes. And you can get there through the automatic writing experience. You can pick up AWE at automaticwriting.com. You can get it at Amazon as well. You can get it at your local bookseller, which would make you a hero. Get a copy for yourself. Get a copy for a loved one. Get a copy for your local library. You can also check out the AWE, the Automatic Writing Experience video-based program, and literally start diving into AWE today, raising your vibration today. You can get that at automaticwriting.com as well. To check out more of these amazing videos, click here. Be sure to subscribe below and click on that bell icon to join us for our YouTube live events every Sunday night, where we talk about manifestation, we talk about rewiring your subconscious, and all of the techniques you saw here, we blow them out to the max. Love you guys so much. Shine bright. Woohoo! Love you guys.